Coming up on Small Town Big Deal, the gateway to the West has found a great way to fabulous foods.
Let the vegetables and the fruit speak for themselves.
And when big city chefs support small town farmers,
that is really good.
The result is scrumptious.
That is amazing.
Welcome to Small Town Big Deal. I'm Rodney Miller.
And I'm Jann Carl. You know, some people call it farm to table, others call it farm to fork.
But whatever you call it, the movement to source fantastic foods locally is getting bigger and bigger.
And the relationships between farmers, producers, and dairymen with chefs, bakers, ice cream shops, and coffee houses get stronger and stronger.
And that makes what we eat even better.
It can be farm to fork, farm to tongue, or farm to lips. But all of these things brings us to Rolling Lawns Farm, a family-owned dairy.
The process on a dairy farm starts early, really early. As soon as the sun starts to come up, the cows get up. And here, well, that's when Connie Turley begins to call them into the barn.
Come on, ladies, let's go. Come on.
A member of the Turley family has been bringing in the cows for milking every day for over 108 years.
This is Robin.
My mother sets the tone here at the farm. Every one of these animals knows my mother from day one. So there's a trust between those animals and my mother and then the rest of us here on the farm. And that really sets the tone and the culture for Rolling Lawns Farm.
Oh my gosh, you have a, wait, okay, wait, I'm not doing it right. Okay. Oh no, don't, oh no, I goofed it already.
I'm gonna get a better grade on this, I'm guessing.
You are.
Connie was patient with the help we were trying to offer with their newest members of the farm family.
Well, you have on your rhinestones today, I see. You're all dressed up.
Rolling Lawns is located in Greenville, Illinois, just an hour east of downtown St. Louis.
That's where Connie's son Michael ran a very large marketing firm. That is, until the family dairy farm pulled him back home.
You left the big paycheck, and how scary was that?
I had a day job for about 25 years and it was a great way of life. It taught me a lot. I just felt called to come back, and it's a challenge being small in any business, but I'm the fourth generation and just don't want it to end on my watch.
Michael knew his small family farm couldn't compete against larger dairies in the wholesale market, so he came up with a plan that actually took him right back to the big city.
What we're pursuing is a relationship directly with the restaurants and bakeries and ice cream shops and coffee shops, and we're going to become part of the value chain rather than the supply chain. So Belle's full sister is Bluebird.
While we were there, Max and Darla Krask were also out for a visit. As the owners of their very own successful ice cream business, they use a lot of milk and cream.
You can tell just by visiting how well cared for the land is, the farm is, the cows are.
And the product is just far superior. You can taste it in everything.
But to make all this work financially, Michael knew it was going to take more than a great farm and great relationships.
He had to take out the middleman, and that meant Michael had to find a way to build and operate his own processing and bottling plant. And with each of Connie's beloved Holsteins giving nearly 10 gallons of milk per day, that's a lot of bottling.
Can we speed this up and freak Rodney out?
Hurry up, Jan, give me some more.
Rodney, you're holding things up.
I don't think so, Jan.
I'm all finished.
She has to show me up all the time.
Hey, it's not hard.
Twice a week, Michael personally delivers milk and cream to Max and Darla's Ice's Plain and Fancy, St. Louis's Nitro ice cream parlor.
We pour the liquid nitrogen in while we've got the cream mixing. It freezes so fast, the ice crystals stay super small, so it's a real silky, dense ice cream when it's done.
So I know this seems like new technology, but guess what? This has been around, since 1901.
The ability to cool nitrogen into a liquid had only been achieved a few years earlier when Agnes Marshall at the Royal Institute of London discovered the new liquid air could be used to make fabulous ice cream.
With the kids, it's, you know, just excitement about the thing, and then the parents is sort of like, I'm gonna have to come here a lot. Like, which, you know, it's intentionally designed to just really stick it to parents that bring their kids here because
every day.
they know they're gonna have to come all the time.
The liquid nitrogen is negative 321 degrees, but if handled properly, you can safely use it.
I'm very nervous.
It's not bad, it's not bad. So this is our cream base.
Okay.
So it's like the top of the line ice cream, right?
Along with Rolling Lawns cream,
Look at those.
we'll add some fresh, locally grown blackberries. And then the fun part.
I'm gonna grab a little nitro.
Is it going in?
More.
More?
Tip.
Tip, tip,
Yeah, there we go.
Enough?
Now we just kind of let him work for a little
Whoa. I can hear it.
bit. Yeah.
What am I
You
hearing?
can't see what you're doing, so you have to learn to listen. So you listen to the mixer working. Now we want to pump a little air into him to get him nice and fluffy. Now we're in business.
Oh.
Now we got ice cream.
That's crazy. Look.
So Jan's blackberry ice cream looked great, but I went for my favorite, butter pecan made with real butter and a touch of maple syrup.
You'll hear the mixer just kind of start to work a little bit. We'll crank the speed up.
Okay.
You got that pretty, almost perfect actually.
Yeah.
Hit it with one more shot of nitro. There you go.
Like that?
Yep, that's liquid nitrogen ice cream, just like that.
So it's done already.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Max and Darla insisted on making ice cream both fun and fresh.
We wanted to put our own spin on it, and our spin on it is that it is the best way to make ice cream, and therefore we need the best ingredients.
Which takes us right back to Connie and Michael and their beloved cows.
Why is it important to preserve this small family farm?
We want to teach the consumer what agriculture is all about, how safe it is, how good it is for us, and the love that we all have for our animals. It's history, it's a legacy, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
When we come back, we follow Rolling Lawns milk to one of the best breakfast spots in St. Louis.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And you may be surprised at the natural foods that can be sourced locally with sawdust in a Ziploc bag.
I just see a bag of gunk.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal. You know, Jan, we started really early milking cows.
We did, but they start really early here too at Yokelore, one of the best breakfast and brunch spots in all of St. Louis.
Yokelore is owned by John and Mary Bogaski, and all their milk comes from Rolling Lawns. They are completely sold on the farm-to-table idea.
Everyone comes in and they love the fact that we have not only farm fresh milk, but we have local mushrooms. The eggs are local. People are very conscious of where their food is coming from.
When they started Yokelore, John and Mary gradually built up their own network of local suppliers and now proudly display them for all their customers to see.
Not only is it good for your local economy, but also it's fresher ingredients, so they're going to be more nutritious and they're going to taste better.
And we really appreciate a local establishment.
Bacon is the absolute best bacon I've ever had.
Yokelore has those breakfast classics for people like, well, Rodney, but they're famous for their own special breakfast creations like the mushroom frittata.
First, I want Rodney to give us a definition of a frittata.
No, she did that on purpose. Good.
So a frittata is just a baked egg dish. So it's kind of like a crustless quiche. I'm gonna let you crack the eggs.
You're pretty brave.
The key is to crack it on a flat surface first, not the side of the bowl.
Oh, I just learned something already.
It keeps it from getting shells and it keeps it from breaking the yolk. Not that it matters in this circumstance.
Step back, step back.
I've got more eggs, don't worry. Look, he did it.
Okay, Jan, let's see you.
Oh, geez,
Oh,
yeah.
Her egg went everywhere.
Oh my gosh, it did.
Okay, Jan, I think you were a little hard on that egg. I mean, give it a break.
Let me finish. The ratio of cream and milk to eggs is pretty awesome here. It's almost equal parts. An omelet is just eggs.
Yeah.
But a frittata has all the milk and cream and all the good stuff in it.
Yeah.
So next we add a bed of kale and then mushrooms, and then pour that rich filling right on top.
6 ounces per. There's pepper and cayenne and a little sugar.
Is that about the right amount?
Perfect. You're a natural.
I got it perfect. Oh.
Why do you think there has been such a trend that the farm and local right to our
I think it's funny that we call it a trend because 60 years ago or something, this wasn't a trend, this was a way of life. And we got out of that. You know, moms went back to work and now they're using all this convenience products. Now we just realized what are in those convenience products, and I think that's what snapped us all out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think people saw the importance of not just it being local, but knowing where it came from.
I think we have frittatas.
Here we go.
And it is crispy on top.
What we do next is we're gonna top them with goat cheese, tomato jam, and a little arugula. Here's our goat cheese. We're gonna put that on there.
And what is tomato jam?
Tomato jam, what we do is we take whole tomatoes and we cook them down with a little bit of lemon juice and honey. We finish it with some red chili flake just for a little bit of extra kick. And arugula, we use this because it's a little bit peppery and it gives it a nice finish with the egg.
Now, I sort of feel like if I cook anything and put arugula on it, all of a sudden I'm fancy.
You're a chef.
This is the best part, we get to eat it.
All right. It was kind of amazing when we counted, oh wow, that there were 7 different producers represented in that one frittata. That was amazing.
Now, I'm guessing it would be somewhat easy to find farm fresh milk and eggs, but mushrooms?
In St. Louis, not a problem. Welcome to Mushrooms Naturally, owned by former gourmet chef J.T. Gelano.
His mushroom farm is not your typical farm at all.
We actually have a sterile lab facility here. So everything that you see has been sterilized. So clean, 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 unlike a very common thought about mushrooms being more of a dirty process.
Okay, to me it looks a little bit like a science experiment gone bad, but these bags are filled with sawdust, then injected with mushroom spores.
The spores germinate and become this yucky-looking white stuff called mycelium.
Once they've digested enough of the nutrients in that sawdust, and we change their environment to say, hey, it's ideal out here to grow, that's when they will actually produce the mushrooms.
Okay, no offense to the mushroom, but I just see a bag of, like, gunk.
Absolutely. So you can see the mycelium in here spreading out, stretching on all that sawdust.
And JT loves getting to show off some of his unique varieties.
Our king oyster mushrooms here, this is a really dense, firm, meaty mushroom. Then we've got our poplar mushrooms. So with these guys, they've got this nice, smoky, almost pork-like flavor. My favorite of all the ones that we grow is our hen of the woods mushrooms. We have found a way to cultivate them all year round, and the chefs really appreciate that.
I didn't know you were supposed to have favorites. Now these guys have their feelings hurt, I'm just saying.
They all have a special place in my heart. So.
When we come back, discover a tiny eggplant suitable for a princess.
It does kind of look magical.
And visit an award-winning restaurant where meat is just a side.
It's really making the vegetable the star of the show.
Welcome back to Small Town Big Deal.
We're now about an hour south of St. Louis in the small town of Benton, Illinois, which just happens to be Rodney's hometown.
And it's also the home of Double Star Farms, a place where the farm-to-fork idea is really growing.
Peppers that came in this morning were picked probably 15 minutes before they came in. Here, they're getting graded and packaged, and then they're leaving tomorrow morning.
Double Star Farms is owned by Michael Gaiman. About 10 years ago, he heard that St. Louis chefs were seeking local produce, so he started growing vegetables to sell at farmers markets in the city.
But we quickly realized that driving an hour to the city wasn't profitable.
Michael already had a personal connection to a number of small farmers through the local Mennonite community. By joining together, they were able to offer a wider variety of produce and share in the cost of packing and trucking.
It just kind of grew, it evolved. And as our brand became recognized, we have people weekly reaching out to us.
And it keeps small farms healthy. And I'm all about small farms and family-owned farms and keeping everything local.
And on this farm, there's always something to plant and pick. From tomatoes and blackberries in the summer to greens and squash in the winter.
Michael added greenhouses to extend the growing season for some crops, and he's been known to surprise his clients with some very unusual fare.
All right, here's the Turkish orange eggplant I was telling you about. They have a nice yellow inside with white seeds.
Looks like a little pumpkin.
It does. We get that all the time. This is another cool eggplant. That's a fairy tale eggplant.
So this is fully grown?
It's fully grown, but that's the average size.
It's called a fairy tale?
It is.
It does kind of look magical. Okay, that is so dang cute.
Whether it's a little fantasy eggplant or a basic bell pepper, part of embracing the local foods concept is a willingness to cook and eat whatever is in season.
It seems no place follows that mantra more than Vicia. It's owned by award-winning chef Michael Galina.
The ingredients are so good, especially when they're at the peak and the height of their season, because that's, I think, the most important thing is sometimes people, want tomatoes in December, but they don't need tomatoes in December. They can eat something else.
Eat something else, you're right.
Chef Michael has his menu reprinted twice a week. That job falls to Tara, Michael's wife.
He texts with these farmers and they say, we're going to show up with X, Y, and Z, and then let's figure out what to put on the menu. And the summertime is great because we can sort of extend that season because everything is really bountiful. But when you're in the spring and winter, when things are kind of sparse, you really have to be creative.
Bacon and eggplant, table 40.
You have a phrase, vegetable forward. Describe what that means.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's really making the vegetable the star of the show. Not to say that everything has to be kind of the meat first and then what's on the side. It's really flipping that proportion, which is a more sustainable way of supporting our farming community.
The food is so fresh here, they grow some of it right outside.
All day long, the chefs only have to step outside to pick herbs from their own garden.
Before they opened, Michael and Tara visited the farmers that would supply their food, including Connie and Michael Turley of Rolling Lawns Farm.
We make fresh butter every day for service.
So you make your own butter?
We make our own butter.
From Mike's cows, Mike's and Connie's cows.
Yeah.
Which we helped milk yesterday.
Yeah. You guys did it in the morning, right?
Yeah.
Yep, he delivered our milk that afternoon. So actually this butter, you guys might have had a little bit to do with.
All right.
Michael prides himself in coming up with unusual combinations, like this summer salad.
We've got the zucchini that we just kind of char on the grill. And then we have these cherry tomatoes, cucumber, and some sun gold tomatoes, a little bit of ginger. Take that liquid, and we just, why not? Just pour a bunch of it in there. A little bit of that buttermilk, just kind of squirt it all over. Got some melon, some peaches from Michael Gaiman, a double star, some watermelon from his farm as well. And basically, we just build it up. So we got
Michael finished it up with some feta cheese from a local goat farm, tomato slices, and a little more of that homemade buttermilk ranch.
Bon appetit. So my grandma Carl grew her own vegetables, raised her own chickens, and lived on a dairy. I think I'm gonna go back to what she was doing now.
I think it's incredibly important to sort of go back to having that community experience and, feed ourselves from our own communities and demonstrate that, we can be in St. Louis and have incredible food that's locally sourced.
It allows all the people around us to make a living doing what they love, which is farming. And we get to eat it, and it's so much more delicious.
We'll be right back.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Small Town Big Deal. And Jan, if we haven't made our audience hungry in this episode, we probably haven't done our job.
I think we have successfully produced an episode of Small Town Big Stomach. But I was thinking, so often we will feature one big deal in a town, but in this episode, there were so many big deals.
Yeah, I love them all, but my hero probably is Michael Turley. I mean, he's saving the family farm and providing the people of St. Louis with some great milk products.
I think it's a triple win. It's a win for the consumer, a win for the restaurateur, and it's a win for the family farms.
And it's a win for our taste buds.
Not so much for a waistband, though.
Join us again next week when once again we celebrate the great stories from across America.
We do it at our festivals when it's outside.
You're gonna feel it. Let me make sure it's not freezing your hair. Well,
you have to go to the gym, right?
Well, we did have a milking contest, and just between you and me, Jan kicked Rodney's butt.
So basically, they say you can eat every mushroom once.
Is that like mushroom farmer humor?
Yes, baby.
Okay, just checking.